get this, and this is what's really scary. You'll get the well, it was God's decision. God made us. He has the right to do that. When you get in your mind that you can in some way explain away owning a person and being able to beat them within an inch of their life as long as they don't die within 3 days, my brain can't do that. My brain could not get past that. Even if it is God, even if he is real and those things happen, I could not be okay with worshiping a deity that is okay with that. So it takes a lot to be able to sort of, condition your mind to explain away not even your own actions, someone else's actions, and try to be okay with it. To tell yourself that, okay, I can get past this because it's God. I think that takes a lot.
I think it becomes very easy to do that because I'm under the impression that most people actually don't believe in the God of the Bible. They believe in the God of the 21st century, which has been a sort of modified and distilled God that is all loving,
sure,
all wise, all powerful. Just this, this sphere of perfection, right? But sure. but that actually isn't the God of the Bible. So, like you were just saying, so if you go into the Bible and you begin to sort of juxtapose this God you've been fed with the God that is found in the Bible, you can very easily, I would say, if you've drank the Kool-Aid, you can easily rationalize and say, well, ultimately the God I believe in wouldn't do the things, portrayed in the Bible. Or if, that being did, then I'm sure there was, some wiser and more benevolent reason given the God that I believe in, right? But it's not the God of the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, do you understand where I'm coming from there?
Yeah, don't drink the Kool-Aid though. Yeah. I know that tagline from somewhere.
Yeah. That's very well said, I think. That's very well said, I think.
Can I give another Bible verse that you had never heard in Sunday school? Because I never did. It was news to me. And by the way, is this a PG podcast or can I go a little
No, this is R-rated.
Okay, good. Oh, you have Kyle here, of course. Okay. Ezekiel. Okay, we're going to go full triple. Ezekiel 23:20 to 21.
Oh, I love this one.
King James Version. For she dotted upon her paramours, whose flesh is the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Paramours is lovers, and dotted means to bestow a great amount of affection or love for excessive amount. Now, what's funny is if you actually go to the ERV, which is the easy to read version of the Bible, it's a little more explicit. This is how it translates. I don't know if you've ever seen the ERV version, but it translates this. She remembered her lover with the penis of a donkey and the flood of semen like a horse.
As all good lovers.
Easiest read for kids, right? That's the easy to read version for the kids to say, oh, I don't understand the passage in the Bible. Oh, it's because they're talking about a penis of a donkey and the flood of a semen like a horse.
Wait a minute. I didn't know this. I didn't even know this.
Wait, really? Oh, this is
real?
Yes, this is Ezekiel 23:20.
What the fuck?
It's my favorite Bible verse. I
didn't know either. This was news. Well, I mean, I don't. It was like last year I found that out. So I never knew growing up though. Hell no.
Well, I mean, hey, guy that she's dreaming about. That's
good job to her, right?
I mean, but can't you just sort of hear the divinity just flow from those words right there? I mean, just true omniscience. I mean, it's to that point. It's not something I could have come up with. Certainly not. I mean,
to that point though, can you imagine? Like, okay, these books were inspired by God, right? God spoke to these people and told the people writing them to it. Can you imagine the look on the guy's face when he's like, what was that last part, Doug?
I didn't quite get that. The King James version is so flowery. We had somebody on our show. It was a Dr. Josh Bowen. And the language that they use is so flowery, right? And he goes into detail of the King James version. And who else went into that? There was somebody else who went into the same thing. Jerry Griffith went into it as well. Well, I think they both have kind of delved into it. But yeah, it's like the King James version makes it sound so great, right? So, wow, she dotteth her paramours. Oh, that's flowery.
It's horseshit. everybody. It's horseshit.
It's horse cum, actually.
The book is,
Yeah, I think you got the wrong slide. It comes out the front.
the book is horseshit.
I've actually seen a general trend with sort of taming the Bible in that sense. It's kind of a dangerous one. I hear myself echoing. Am I?
Yeah, check if your headphones are correctly plugged in, Adam. You might be doing like audio through your laptop speakers.
How's that?
Is that better?
Okay.
Yeah, it's better. That's better.
All right. So so what I was saying was like what I've seen is sort of a general dangerous trend with newer Bibles that have been created and translated. I'm echoing again. Shit.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Is that for me?
It just started. It's usually Adam when it happens.
All right, let's try that. Let's try that again.
That's okay, Adam.
My bad.
Performance anxiety happens to us all.
This happens every night on our show. Every night.
Well, Adam's fixing that. I wanted to backtrack for a second and get you two to respond on so about the I can hear myself now. The slavery in the Bible. One sort of like I've heard a defense of that where God revealed these kind of moral truths in stages of progressions, right? Where it was too radical to introduce full full stop, no slavery in general. So he eased the Israelites into it, where he started with, you may not keep males as slaves for more than 7 years, but women you can keep indefinitely. Then women were granted the 7-year status as men. Then both were eventually required to be freed. Oh. Then it was no Israelites, but other people. Then it was only other people of like a certain, race or whatever. And so it was this sort of progressive, I'm doing air quotes for our audio listeners, progressive, iterative thing of morality. I've never bought that for a second.
Bullshit. Here's why.
Yeah.
He in several verses instructs people that they can't wear garments that are made of different materials. He tells them they shouldn't eat shrimp. He lays out 10 commandments where they're all about the top 3 are about worshiping other gods. They're don't covet your neighbors. Like he lays out all of these detailed, specific rules, and the most important one, like above shrimp and above mixed clothes, he couldn't say don't own people, don't treat other people as property. That's insane to put that in as an excuse. That's absolutely insane.
I was reading a paper just yesterday, matter of fact, and I brought it to Dr. Alex Malpass's attention. I was having a conversation with him. He's a well-known philosopher in our group, and we were talking about what was called the moral epistemological argument for atheism. And I'm going to give the details of the argument per se, but it basically the counter apologist, because he had asked me, Alex had asked me, how would you counter this? If an apologist says something along these lines, because he likes to challenge me, because he's an ass like that. But I love Alex; he's a great guy. And the thing was that the apologist would say something along the lines of God was trying to bestow a higher epistemic standard to people by explaining to them morality incrementally, or more specifically that just stop, because in order to know good, we have to know evil. So in order we have to know immorality to know morality. Mm-hmm. And so God would allow for this immoral type things. God would allow for these so-called sins or transgressions, because it was teaching people how to have a higher moral ethical standard. I don't buy into that
bullshit.
But that is one of the apologetic narratives against the moral epistemological argument.
He didn't have to have it in the first place. He didn't have to have these sinful things in the first place. It goes back to what I said at the beginning. He can wish that away or will that away in a finger snap, and we can go back to perfection. But he doesn't do that.
I would argue efficiency in that. What I would say would be, and you're right, but the way I would word it, I would be like, if God's trying to teach us lessons of a certain kind, the way he went about it seems very, very inefficient for an all-powerful, all-knowing being.
It's hypocritical and pretty damn evil. Evil would be the word I would use. Absolutely evil.
Yeah, I mean, because he's condemning. I mean, forget about even the people that just don't listen. What about the people who never heard? I mean, the millions of people in India, in Asia, in South America, in North America before the colonialization What about all those people who never had the opportunity to believe?
The
So
Holy Spirit spoke to
something
them.
they'll have it afterwards. Like there's the argument from divine hiddenness is one of my favorite arguments. I think it's one of the best arguments for atheists. And basically it argues this, because I'm what's called a non-resistant non-believer. That is somebody who is not saying, hey, if there's a God, I don't want anything to do with him. It's like, hey, yeah, if you do exist, hey, come talk to me, right? You're non-resistant and you're a non-believer. Mm-hmm. So the argument is such, if God wants a personal relationship with somebody, right? Then why is he not reaching out, and making that happen? Why is he hidden from the non-resistant non-believer? And that would be somebody who's never heard of him as well, right? If you never heard of him, then you're clearly a non-resistant non-believer, because you don't know if you're rejecting or withholding assertion or withholding assent. You don't know anything about the deity, right?
Can I answer that as a as an evangelical?
Go for it.
Well, Steve, you see, you may think that you're seeking God, but your heart's not open. You have that doubt, and as long as you have that doubt in there, He's not going to come to you. You have to be.
Now, is that how you would have answered it?
Open your heart. That answer, yeah.
You have to open your heart.
Because Kyle was a bigger believer than I was. Kyle was a full-on young Earth creationist, evangelical. Is that how you would have answered it? Really? Have you
Oh yes. Okay. Have you not heard this? Guys in the podcast. Either of you, Adam?
I've been told that verbatim.
Oh yes, certainly. Yeah. I mean, it's often that you ultimately you're a flawed creature that really doesn't know God. So it's on you.
You're not sincere in your search. Like
sure.
Once you let down those walls, then He will come to you. But until you fully open yourself up, it's your fault.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny in a way, actually, because often it's sort of like, you try to like reason from a rational standpoint, and you talk about what credible and compelling evidence is there for to believe in this being, and someone's like, well, ultimately you kind of have to make that leap of faith. You kind of have to believe, and I'm like, so you got to believe before you can start believing. You got to kind of like, you get what I'm saying there. Like,
Kierkegaard calls that the leap of faith.
Yeah, but that really what Kierkegaard meant by that, per se. I think they were kind of taking what Kierkegaard said a little bit. He didn't really mean that you have to believe in order to believe. It wasn't like, hey, jump off this cliff and hope that God reaches down and saves you, kind of thing. It wasn't that kind of leap of faith. Yeah, it's basically, Kierkegaard was trying to say, hey, you know what? Stop thinking about yourself. Stop having this introspection, and maybe opening yourself up to higher consciousness of some kind. He didn't word it that way. It was kind of a Deepak Chopra, but
as if we needed another reason to question belief. Here's this is the number 2 reason why I stopped believing. Mm-hmm. You're told all your life, or at least I was in church, that it doesn't matter when in life, doesn't matter at what point, at what age, if you choose to believe in God, no matter what you've done, you will spend eternity in heaven. Now, here's the question. I'm saying I'm God, right? I have 2 people in front of me that have just recently died. You have this guy who murdered 2 people, sexually assaulted kids, and they found him out. They put him to death, right? He's in front of me. But while he was locked up, right before he died, he gave his life to God. And then I have this other guy who spent his entire life, very average life, nothing too extravagant, nothing too, he didn't do too evil. He cussed and he drank and he did some drugs, but he lived a pretty average life. He just never believed in me. I'm going to send that guy to hell and let this guy in?
Yeah, can you imagine a heaven filled with Ken Hovind, G-Man, Max Colby? Let's think about this for a second here.
Jeffrey Dahmer converted to a Christian right before he died. Ooh. Is that guy in heaven? Are you spending heaven with Jeffrey Dahmer?
After a plate of fried chicken, he repented, yeah.
And if you are you okay with that? Are you okay with him? But, your family members who maybe didn't do anything bad, the only thing that they're guilty of is disbelief because there's not enough evidence. Does that really warrant you spending eternity burning in hell? I don't think so. I don't think that's rational to think that way. I think it's sick to think that way.
No, I totally agree. I mean, I think the ultimately, if the belief system predicates on belief alone, then I mean, what are you really sort of like funneling at that point? Are you just gullibility? Is that what you're sort of